Hello everyone, welcome to the Under Blue Hat SEO series episode. In this episode, we will be giving you more than 3 SEO suggestions in a way that you can implement and start to increase your traffic directly. The project that you see in the screen is a programmatic SEO website in the English language, and there are some other languages, which means it is a multilingual website, and we will be giving some suggestions for that too. We will be explaining the micro semantics for especially programmatic SEO websites, and we will be presenting a kinds of diagram, and we will be using ChatGPT to explain it even further too. So you see the results in the project here, but we are actually starting to give the data about this project from the middle of the project, because someone from Mauritius, a dear friend, and he became friend later, he emailed me like 15 months ago, and 1 month later I have answered his email and I have given basically 12 or 13 suggestions to him. Apparently the person was a very hardworking person, and he implemented most of these suggestions, and he started to get the results that you see in this specific screen. The important thing here is that since I don't have the data before the 16 months, I am not able to show it to you. But if I'm able to find it from somewhere, maybe BigQuery or somewhere else, or maybe an API, I will be giving that also as a screenshot here, because before these suggestions are started to be implemented, the traffic was even way much lower than this specific level. So you see that actually traffic has been increased here, maybe 40% or 45%, but in reality it is actually more than 100% based on 18 or 19 months of data. So based on the at least 16 months of data, we can just try to examine the results a little bit for the last 3 months of comparison year over year. You can see that actually impressions are nearly increased 3 times, average position has been increased, clicks are increased nearly 35-36%. The only drop here is coming from the CTR. The reason for that is we rank for way much more queries. And when we start to rank for these queries, we should understand that Google also competes against us. And when it comes to the programmatic SEO websites, usually they are ranking for the queries that search engine already has an answer for within an answer box or with a certain type of tool. In this case, we have a converter from inches to centimeter or kilogram to grams, etc. And Google already has a converter there, which means that actually most of the time Google, once we start to rank for more queries with impressions, clicks are not able to increase with the same proportion, and we have a lower CTR. But it's not a bad thing, because even if you rank actually for this specific certain queries, and if you are able to take actually a certain type of impression there, it will be affecting your actually overall authority and historical data with a positive ranking state. And this brings us to the examination of the ranking graphics that you see here. If you just look at the impressions, you will realize that first, of course, after starting the implementation, we start to increase our impressions, which represents actually increased relevance for certain queries. We come to a peak point, it goes a little bit stale, and then it starts to decrease, a test area which is represented here. Then we go again with a kind of peak point. Then there is a kind of trend changes, and it comes back with a bigger traffic as well. And again, it drops, and again it increases. It drops, again it increases, drops, again it increases. So this is a pattern actually. Even if as long as you're able to keep implementing the same principles, you will eventually see a higher ranking state. But with that said, if you have these type of minor drops, please do not lose your hope. Just keep implementing according to the bigger picture in your mind. This is the game in SEO, and ranking states might be shifting with a pattern in every 4 months. And you might be doing the right thing, and you might give up at the 4th month. And you can prevent your website to take the leap for the next level. So you should understand that if you are increasing your clicks and your impressions like this, it will stop at a point. You will be tested back like this, and again you will be tested back. And eventually, if you are able to keep implementing same principles by increasing your relevance, even if it requires micro steps, you will eventually rank higher too. And this is what is happening here as well. You can see that actually impressions and the clicks, they are being followed with the same directions. Even if their proportions are changing based on the CTR, usually we are having the same level of, let's say, movements, and they are like shadow of each other or twins of each other in this case. And this brings us to the actually first suggestion in terms of the programmatic SEO websites. First of all, everyone gives the same answer. When it comes to the 5 centimeter to inches, it is same universally. And it's same for last century, same for this century, and it's same in Mars or Sun or Verge. And it is same in your competitor website and in your website, which means that the difference will be coming from your overall brand authority together with the user data and user metric signals and your page experience. So first thing is, please understand the ranking states compared to your competitor and try to understand how you can implement the micro semantics to increase your relevance together with the responsiveness. And it brings us to the page experience section a little bit. If you have millions of pages with the programmatic SEO, please be sure that you are actually passing the core web vitals. Even if you are able to pass these as good, your competitor probably is passing it as the good too, which brings you to the point that you will need to be better than the specific person. You can choose the most traffic pages from your competitor and from yourself, and you can actually stimulate a page session, and you can check for what percentage of the situation you are better than your competitor. If you don't know the data for your competitor, you can always create a Chrome user experience report for your competitor, and you can always compare the real world user metrics from your competitor to yourself. Always try to be at least 10 or 15% above them. And this brings us to another section here, which is inside the crawl stars. When it comes to the programmatic SEO projects, you have to have a lower, let's say, a lower response time than the 100 milliseconds. If you're able to reach out to that goal, you will be directly increasing the amount of pages that are indexed. If you're able to increase the amount of pages that are indexed, you will be increasing impressions again, your historical data, your coverage, and again, it will be supporting your next linked pages, and you will be creating or trigger a wave of actually organic impression increase. In this case, we can tell that cost of retrieval also becomes very important. And cost of retrieval is a concept that is connected to topical authority in my own terminology, which means how costly you are for the search engine to rank, evaluate, understand, and give to the user for usage. If you are not able to respond to search engine in a proper way, you will realize that actually they will be choosing someone else. So you can use Amazon Closed Services or Google Closed Services with different type of configurations to decrease this amount here as much as possible. One more thing is if you watch the last Blue Hat SEO case study video, I said it, and please try to have over 99% of 200 status code together with the 340, and also try to have these like 98%. And you should be realizing that sometimes the search engine will be increasing the crawl stats like this. You should be checking the Google updates in a quick way. If there is no update and still the search engine increases your crawl stats like this, it means that you have changed something in your website. Or they are maybe just gathering data for the future update, or an update is about to come. Both of them can be happening here, but you should be following the data here. So if you follow or just gather some of the suggestions that we have given here, first thing is that try to understand how you should be evaluating these ranking state changes and how you should be interpreting these changes, because you should expect some of the drops after the increases, and you can try to understand how you should be approaching these specific drops. Is it an algorithmic, the normal drop, or did you change something? You should be able to do this differentiation here. Another thing is that you should be checking the crawl stats, not from the search engine, search console, check it from your server, because this data is partial. And be sure that you have lower than 100 milliseconds of response time, and try to check whether from Google's side or from your side, these crawl stats are increasing. And one more suggestion, since everyone gives the same answer, responsiveness and cost of retrieval even becomes more important, and try to have a higher or better Chrome user experience report data compared to your competitors. And this brings us to the next suggestion, again, which is connected to micro semantics. So I will be showing the email that I have written to the person 14 months ago that created these results. And only one of them actually created 50% of the changes in the website. And that change even is not about writing something from zero. Basically, we have taken the most important answer sentence from the middle of the page and we put it to the top of the page. We even didn't change the sentence, we just changed its place. Once we did this change, the search engine started to crawl entire website from end to end. And this brings us to the other section. You should understand whether the search engine cares about the changes that you do. If you change something in your website and if search engine doesn't crawl you again, it means that they don't care about the change that you do. It might be because maybe they don't care your website anymore, or maybe they don't care the change that you did. So you should be checking these crawl stats to communicate with the search engine. Another reason might be maybe you triggered another entire site-wide crawl just last week. and they crawled maybe 3 million pages. And again, maybe you want another one. And that another round might not be coming until, let's say, 3 weeks later or 3 months later. So because of this situation, you should be sure that you are requesting these site-wide re-evaluations when it is necessary. And one more thing is, the change for that sentence, it was just a direct answer. When someone searches for 5 centimeters to inches, they just want to see the result, basically, as the major search intent there. And because of the website is an ads website, usually the website owners, they put the answer to the middle of the page so that the person can scroll down and also give more impressions to the ads. Another reason for keeping it the middle is the dwell time. And basically some of the website owners, they try to keep the visitors longer in the page. But it is not always helpful, because if you search for this, click satisfaction models, for instance, maybe I can find it for you. Basically, it doesn't mean that every longer amount of, let's say, session always doesn't mean that the user has been satisfied. If you look at here, for instance, directly Google says that for currency conversion, queries often result in no mousing at all, yet the user reports satisfaction, which means that actually when it comes to the especially conversion, whether currency conversion, whether measurement conversion, user just wants to see the result. They don't care about how many seconds they stay there. If the dwell time is lower, for instance, it's even better. So in this case, we just have taken the main most important answer from middle of the page, put it to the above default area, and it increases the traffic immediately. And you can think like this: content is same. 99% of the website is same with the previous situation, but website ranks way much higher. And this brings us to this micro semantics example. If you look at these 2 different page samples here, you will realize that, again, we have a query like 5 centimeters to inches. The main difference here is that this one has the word convert in the H1 and it's bigger. Even the size of the text, it might affect your overall relevance, which means that this page overall, just based on micro differences, it will be ranking higher compared to this one. And when it comes to the micro semantics, you should always create when it comes to the micro semantics and programmatic SEO, there is no such a thing actually micro change there, because you are changing something very small across 30 million pages, and that change becomes a major change. And you can always ask questions like this: what is the distance from 5 centimeters to inches to 5 inches to centimeters? Because when it comes to the conversion queries, there is always some functional words there like from or to, which reflects a certain type of direction. Centimeter is not antonym of inches, but when you get this direction like this, you need to reverse it. And from there, you need to actually give the opposite direction in your internal links, which is one of the important sections there. When it comes to how to rank for inch and the centimeter concepts separately, it means that you should be defining and also ranking for the concepts inside the queries, because the centimeter and inches are mentioned millions of times in title tags inside the documents, but none of the competitors actually define them properly or try to rank for them. If you're able to rank and be an authority for the definition of these 2 concepts, the rest of the pages will be getting a boost for overall relevance. So this requires to open actually a knowledge base here. Another thing here is that how many internal links you should have for a web page. It is also important too, because if you add more internal links, it means that you will be passing more indexation signal. But if you add too many internal links without relevance, then you will be ending up diluting your page rank and ranking signals. So you should understand that actually from 5 centimeters to inches, whether you should be linking to the 5 meters to inches, or whether you should be linking maybe just 5.1 centimeters to inches. And this brings us to do another suggestion in this area. First of all, when it comes to the programmatic SEO websites, especially with the numeric values, I must tell that actually I work in the finance industry a lot. And when it comes to the credit industry or loan industry or credit score calculation, etc., there are numeric values there too. And numeric values are not indexed as in the word or textual queries or textual information. Because when it comes to the numeric values, for instance, let's say the loans, if you have $1,000, $10,000, $50,000, $30,000, $20,000, $80,000, and $100,000 of loan and interest rate calculation, you can open new pages. But when it comes to the 83,000, you don't open new page there. This is about numeric distance between these specific numbers, how similar these numbers to each other, how relevant to these numbers to each other, and how well or how frequently they appear in the queries. And when you look at here, for instance, since numbers are going to the eternity, the website, even if they are in the sitemap, they are not even crawled properly. And this is one of the mistakes here. When you open actually 40 million pages, you should be making a reasonification for search engine to crawl, make it crawl and index, understand, etc. And most of the time, 99% of the content across these millions of pages, they are same. So when you open a page for, let's say, 6,425 centimeters to inches, so since there is not that much search demand there, and since that number is not that much different from, let's say, 6,422 centimeters, in this case, actually, you are opening unnecessary pages here as much as possible. Just because your competitors do that, it doesn't require that you should be doing that too. That's why you should understand actually, let's say, numeric value indexing and how a search engine actually groups these numbers and what are the central numbers in this specific numeric line. Based on that, you will be able to actually differentiate your, let's say, necessity for this, and your internal links are connected to here. Because if you are linking from 5 to 6, not bad. These are just numbers in your keyboard. They are popular. But if you are linking from 5 to the 5 million directly, I believe no one calculates something for 5 million centimeter, right? So why do you have it directly there? It doesn't make that much sense. So you should have a little bit, let's say, query paths, which is something that we explain in our topical authority course in a really good way. You should understand what is the possibility for a user for a next conversion from 5 to 6, 5 to 5 million, from centimeter to meter, and from inches to something else. If you're able to get that context, then you can adjust your internal links better. If you adjust them in a better way, you can index more pages. And if you index more pages, that wave of re-evaluation will be triggering more pages to be indexed. It will be increasing your impression again and your historical data again, and eventually your clicks too. But if you're opening redundant amount of repeated content pages without any search demand or without any proper relevance in this area, they can skip understanding some of your pages. So if you return one more time, just calculate the distance between concepts, rank for the concepts itself, add antonym or opposite direction links, and try to understand next or related search activities and interest areas of the users and use them for indexing more pages, and try to remove the redundant amount of pages from your website as much as possible, because numbers goes until eternity and you can't have like 2 billion, let's say, pages. And another suggestion here is that try to focus on especially the central pages, because if I do a check here, you will see that most of the traffic goes to the most important calculations. It means that like 100 centimeter to the 1 meter or these type of things. And it means that you will need to actually understand what context, or let's say what type of calculations are more important, and you will need to redirect your ranking signals, external links together too, to the especially most important pages as much as possible. And it brings us to this ChatGPT example. I actually performed a kinds of, let's say, usually I write really detailed prompts. You can read this prompt by stopping the video. Basically, I give the purpose, style, and also experiment steps. I define every step. Then I actually tell the search engine that based on micro semantics for the query of 5 centimeter to inches, please take these 2 paragraphs and calculations and make a comparison for them. You can read the details here if you wish. And it starts to interpret actually the first one just after I finish my prompt. Let me come here. Yeah. The first one's score is, let's say, 98. And these scores might be changing according to the runtime. There is no way of fixing it. But you should understand the machine angle here a little bit. First, we get the entities, we get the attributes, we get the context here. The first one has the unit conversion, practical usage in real estate, and historical context. Then we have straightforward conversion examples, simple formula, diverse applications, centimeters, inches, conversion examples, and real estate context. And then we have the relevance increasing advantages. It says that we have a math calculation, which is good, and we have a straightforward per presentation, which makes sense. And we have some relevance decreasing effects like broader focus on real estate and historical context, it says, and some other sections. This is the second one, I guess. Let me just check. No, sorry. This is the second. Yeah, this is the first one. And the score here, 95. Then let's see the difference between them. These are the entities here. And these are the entities here. If I look at the difference in these two, we see that actually real estate is here. But the rest is, let's say, conversion examples becomes more prominent in this area, and we can check why it happens like that. And then if you look at the relevance increasing advantages here, let's check here. It says it provides a detailed and clear conversion formula from centimeters to inches. It includes specific examples, including the conversion of 20 centimeters to inches, which is contextually similar to the query. The comprehensive conversion table is a valuable resource for various measurements and enhancing its utility for the query. And when it comes to here, it says that it provides a direct answer. And it is one of the most important differences here. When it comes to the decreasing section, it says that a broader context happens here. And it brings us back to these concepts. So what is the possibility of using inches for real estate? Let's say for every measurement unit, you decided to give an example calculation for real-world application. You believe that it increases your relevance. If you always give same example for real estate, it won't be making that much sense. You should choose, or you should calculate distance from centimeter to a real-world application. It might be real estate, or it might be measuring something else, but you should find the most possible real-world activity there. If you're able to do that, probably you will be catching some of the users' past queries, and it will be providing a justification for your relevance. And in this way, for instance, you can decrease the repeated content across millions of pages, and even if you increase your relevance a little bit, again, you will be able to rank higher there in a proper way as well. So you can use this type of prompts to see some of the machine angles in this area, and even you can ask ChatGPT. So if I want to use a real-world example, and for this calculation, which, let's say, real-world example makes sense, and you can ask even semantic distance calculation in that area too. But basically, you should understand that even based on the size of the font or order of the answers, they all affect your relevance and your rankings in a direct way. This brings us to creating a document template for a certain type of query template. If you look at this screen, I published this case study before, and here we talk about you can see the 3 months of difference here. And again, the results are speaking for themselves. And here we implement actually programmatic SEO with human effort, which means that actually we have a document template, but we write them with the human writers. And in this case too, everyone gives the same, but there are some minor differences there. And this brings us to another Blue Hat SEO suggestion. If you are giving the same information with your competitors, how about just taking some sub-phrases? The sub-phrase means that actually you are giving a certain type of phrase that is encapsulated by another one. And for numbers, they are point values or decimals. 5.1 is already encapsulated by the 5. And in your actually, let's say, calculation table, you don't need to go to the 6 or 20, but you can go for 5.1, 5.2, 5.3, etc. It will increase your overall relevance too, which is another suggestion in this area too. Another thing is you can always use different type of, let's say, content formats. How about giving your actual math formula in semantic HTML for HTML math tag, which is very, very, let me just explain here. Math ML tables, or if I am able to open this. So HTML or semantic HTML is useful, and you can always use this type of tables. It will actually helpful for crawlers or, let's say, any kinds of browser to understand the context in a faster way. Another thing is image indexation is not used for this website. You can always give your formula also inside the images, and you can index it, and you can give your direct answer in an image, and you can even satisfy user from the search engine result page. It is not harming you. Actually, it will be increasing your overall, let's say, clicks, because you will be more valuable for the search engine. They won't be able to remove you from the SERP, because you are satisfying users from the Google side, and it will be making you even more valuable. So using more images, using more diverse answers is one of the keys. Another thing is, even if you give your direct answer with a simple sentence, my suggestion to you is that repeat that sentence with different formats with helpful things. For instance, you can tell that X is equal to one of them. Then you can also say that, repeat it from the Y point of view. For instance, you can tell that Y, let's say, try to use actually mathematical words like equal, or you can also say that Y is calculated as blah, blah, blah. Try to repeat the evidence. When you repeat your evidence with the same values, it will be increasing the trust of the search engine. But if you always say the same thing, you will be increasing your gibberish score, which is a concept that we explained in our case series and some of the Blue Hat SEO videos. So try to make sense with it. you can actually give your answer directly, then you can give the mathematical formula. While giving the formula, you can actually use this AQLT or calculated as type of phrases. If you're able to use grammatically correct sentences with different type of, let's say, sections, it will be way much more helpful for you to use that. When it comes to the document templates, you can always check this pattern, generating query answers. Basically, based on certain type of query templates, we will be having different type of answer templates too. The example here is actually for born, like this. Entity is currently value years old. This is a template on the web. They recognize this template. Then they use certain type of sentence structures or automatic query answers, and they try to check how these things are presented there. There is one more actually that might be helpful to check. It is called data wrappers or automatic data wrappers, which means they recognize a certain type of data type. Then they create an extraction engine to extract that specific data by wrapping it. And this might be your mathematical calculations. That's why giving your content in a repeating evidence with different formats helps search engine to increase confidence and get it in a better way as well. So try to understand query templates and create certain type of answer templates in a better way. You can even understand that whether I should use the word currently here or not, or maybe it is relevant because there is an is section here and ages changes every year and some of the sources forgot to update this data, for instance. So let me show you the email at the last part. You can stop the screen and try to read these things. I have explained this, for instance, already. And maybe there is one more in terms of the micro semantics that I can explain in a detailed way. And if you look at here, I say that your titles are not bad, but if you can make them richer, it is better. Meters to centimeters conversion, then there is a synonym of it with an abbreviation. And I say that use the word convert meters to centimeters, then M to cm conversion is more relevant. Then I say that 1800 of your queries contain the word convert and 1600 of them include the word conversion. There you should understand the difference between query and processed query. Search engines, they don't construct their indexes and search engine result pages for the query that user types in. They actually construct them for the processed and interpreted queries. And when someone searches for this, you should understand that this won't be the query that has been counted there. Most of the time, they will be converting that query to something like this, and they will be using some predicates here. If you're able to include, or if you're able to target the guessed and interpreted process query, you will be increasing your overall relevance. And we directly mention here that you should be using this type of, let's say, synonym phrases or conditional synonym phrases for the same context inside your content too. And we say that like synonyms of the word like convert and transform or change 5 centimeters to inches for transform it, etc. We say that use decimals, for instance. Then we say include tables and listicles together as well. We say that use lemmatized forms of the words conversion, converting, convert, converted. And it also helps to change the sentence structures, which helps also for increasing the possible ranking possible there. And we also say that you can expand the sentences in your documents by repeating some quick calculations in the form of sentences. Not just 1 meter is equal to 100 centimeters, but you can continue to give those facts for 6-7 more sections, which means that try to keep your main answer in different sections of the web page with different type of a context. For formula is something else, for instance, for let's say, if you want to represent it with a scale, for instance, with an image, again, you can repeat it in your fig caption or alt tag or different areas too. So I would suggest you to read these sections as well. For instance, here we give the, if title is meters to centimeters, meters to miles, meters to kilometer type of pages should be linked as well, because these are possible search activities there directly. And when you have a templatic phrase combination, you also have to link the antonym. I explained this part already. And we explained, I believe, images section too. And dynamic calculator is important as well. Again, for ads revenue, sometimes in this type of websites, when you do a calculation, they just refresh the page. Since they just refresh the page, ads revenue is increasing. And here I say that for the user's purposes, make it dynamic so that returning user count can be increasing in a really good way. I would also suggest to use actually progressive web applications here to increase the, let's say, caching efficiency. And one more thing is for actually Spanish language here.
So if you have millions of pages, do not expect search engine to rank you directly for a new language because you translated a few hundred of pages. You will be ranking higher for another language if you're able to provide a symmetric and good amount of translations there. It is about actually how many pages you have. So that's why actually if you want to rank higher for the Spanish, first you need to make it really quality, plus you need to make comprehensive. If you just rank for the 5, 6, 7 for a few measurement units and a few contexts, it won't be good enough because other Spanish websites have way much more broad appeal. They have already all the measured units for major calculations, and if you go for a small portion of it, it won't be good enough for that. So that's why here too we say that actually go for a better version and try to create this internal link support for a broader aspect as well. So for a Blue Hat SEO video, I believe this is a pretty detailed video. If I am lucky, I will be putting actually my picture with the owner of this website, because from Mauritius, he actually visited me in Istanbul. We have taken really good amount of pictures. Then he came to the Sofia for SERPconf and he listened to my speech and it made me really happy. Then he actually met with the other holistic SEO communities. He wants to be a pilot, and if I'm able to contribute his dream job or his life, and it really makes me happy, and it makes my life also meaningful, and the time that we are spending here also meaningful as well. Touching other people's lives in a positive way is the best side of the SEO, to be honest, and it always doesn't have to be paid. I helped here for free and I'm proud of to do that. I wish I could do it more. I can tell that while having this amount of emails, it's not that easy. I was able to answer this email after 1 month, and we were lucky because I wasn't able to take any new client, and I just wanted to help at least with a simple email. And this person, since he has an engineering mindset, and usually engineers work harder and they understand actually SEO even better too, he just made the calculations, it makes sense, and he started to implement it. And he came to Istanbul and he brought actually his notebook and he opened it, and all the case studies, our topical authority course, or our concepts like cost of retrieval, or macro context, micro context, supplementary content, or contextual breach. He got all of them with the definitions, with the examples, with the occurrences or experiments. He has taken everything with the notes, and I was able to actually see all of them. If I'm able to put them to this screen, if I have time for video editing, I will be doing it. And lastly, if you wish, you can always join to our holistic SEO communities by subscribing to our newsletter, or you can subscribe to our LinkedIn newsletter as well. I just posted actually 1 week ago, and we already come to the actual 5,000 subscribers here. I'm always happy to help you, and I hope we will have better and, let's say, more dreamy days together. Thank you for listening to me.